Hey, we're doing a movie review. This is my friend Jeremy, and the movie we want to review is the 1988 horror comedy Sleepaway Camp II: Unhappy Campers. Now, this of course is a sequel to the 1983 slasher film Sleepaway Camp. Now, after the first movie, Robert Hiltzik, who directed the first one, sold the rights to, I think the company is Double Helix Films, and so this time the directing job went to Michael A. Simpson, and Michael A. Simpson specifically wanted to make a parody of the first film and sort of a satire on slasher films in general. Now, there were talks of bringing back Felissa Rose for this one, but I think at the time she was in college and she wanted to focus on that, and also she didn't like the direction they were taking it in. So this time Angela is played by Pamela Springsteen, and if that last name sounds familiar, she is actually Bruce Springsteen's younger sister. So what do you think of Sleepaway Camp 2?
Well, it's very over the top, very comedic, and at times very stupid, too. Pamela Springsteen, she's just so, again, over the top and hilarious to watch. So, even though this is a pretty dumb movie, it's still a lot of fun.
Yeah, I agree. It's not great. I don't think it's great by any means, but it's entertaining enough, I would say. And Pamela Springsteen, she actually does do a pretty decent job as Angela, but I will say, frankly, she plays the role so differently than Felissa Rose did that it almost feels like a completely different character.
Oh, sure. Felissa Rose's Angela was very quiet and introverted, whereas Pamela Springsteen's Angela is very, outgoing and energetic. The plot is that Angela, after having been in a mental institution and undergone a sex change operation, is now working as a camp counselor at a different sleepaway camp, and soon discovers that many of the campers there are behaving very immorally and badly, so she decides to set a good example by punishing these campers for their bad behavior, and by punishing them, I mean killing them in very gruesome fashion.
Something we should point out is, so in the movie she obviously changed her name, or at least she changed her last name from Baker to Johnson. But you would think if she was really trying to hide her identity, she would have also have changed her first name as well, but she's still going around going by the name Angela. We should also point out that almost all the characters in this movie are named after well-known actors from the time. Like, there are these two boys in the movie whose names in the film, like the characters' names, are literally Charlie and Emilio, an obvious reference to Charlie Sheen and Emilio Estevez, and coincidentally, their sister is actually in this movie.
Yeah, Renée Estevez plays Molly.
Yeah, Molly, that's obviously a reference to Molly Ringwald, and there's also a character named Demi in the movie, an obvious reference to Demi Moore. I think there's a character named Allie, an obvious reference to Ali Sheedy, which that was kind of fun. And again, the film, it doesn't even remotely take itself seriously.
No, not at all.
The first one had moments of humor, but let's be real, the humor in the first one was probably more accidental.
Yeah.
Because there were, like, these moments of camp in the first one, but it still tried to take itself pretty seriously.
Yeah.
This one, like I said, it's basically a parody of the first movie.
Yes.
And it doesn't even feel like it's really in the same universe as the first one. I mean, they do make direct references, but again, this version of Angela does not even remotely feel like the same character. Before we continue on, here is Joey giving his thoughts on Sleepaway Camp 2.
Yeah, Sleepaway Camp 2 is a 1988 movie. It's a cool movie. I guess there's a lot of people that would say it's cheesy kind of movie, but to me, I thought it was cool. And it's another woman playing Angela this time, Pamela Springsteen. Bruce Springsteen's sister, Charlie Sheen's sister, too, is in it. She plays Molly in this song. And she was also in the movie Intruder from 1989, I think it was, if I remember, 1989. And then in part 2, there's an outhouse scene, makeup effects for that. And then there was other cool scenes with the grill and stuff. But this was at the time, special effects to me are better than the CGI, like I said in my other reviews. So, but yeah, this is another cool movie. That's really my favorites, was part 1 and 2 out of this, out of the series. So I would really recommend part 2 if you haven't seen it, or even if you have, watch it, because it's cool around Halloween time.
Like, even like Angela killing people that she deems immoral. I never really got that sense of, I mean, in the first one, Angela was obviously killing people, but she was killing people not because they went against her morals. She killed people who were making fun of her. Whereas here, she'll kill anybody for, like, engaging in premarital sex or smoking weed or things like that. And I get what they were doing because it's meant to be a parody of slasher films. There's a lot of slasher films that kind of go that angle. You have sex, you die, and that sort of thing. And for the most part, that's more of a stereotype. Not all slasher films follow that trope, but I get what they're trying to do here. But I will say, the whole, like, satirizing slasher films, I personally think Friday the 13th Part 6 did it way better. Even though I'm not a huge fan of the Scream movies, the Scream movies, which were a few years after this, I will say did a lot better than this movie did.
Yeah, I agree with that.
But overall, it's not terrible. It's not a terrible movie. The kills are pretty entertaining.
Oh, yeah, they are.
Like, you had those 2 sisters who are stoners that Angela literally bakes alive. And as silly as the scene is, because it is played up for humor, when you think about it, that would actually be disturbing as fuck. Like, you wake up and find your sibling as a charred skeleton. Like, that is, like... Honestly, like, again, the scene's played up for laughs, but that actually would be legitimately horrific and traumatizing if that happened.
Although it is still pretty hilarious when Angela says, "Take this as a lesson. Say no to drugs."
I love that. Like, she says to a lot of her victims, "I hope this is a lesson to you." Well, if this is a lesson, how are they going to learn from this lesson if you kill them? We'll also probably talk about the girl that Angela drowns in an outhouse.
Oh, that one's brutal. She does this, after Molly tells her, through tears, she's crying, "Oh, she insulted me, she said mean things to me." I just like how, as she's killing her in the outhouse, she says, "Oh, now what's down there?" And she just goes, "Shit." And she's just like, "That's right, shit, your favorite word. Would you mind if I borrowed it for a second? You've been a shitty friend and a shitty person, and, yada, yada, yada." And she says, "What else is down there?" And she says, "I don't know." And she's like, "Well, then I guess you're going to have to take a look."
There's a decapitation at the end, and when we watched it last night, you pointed out just how hilariously fake that
I know, it doesn't even look like the actor. Has a shot where she's like, I guess, walking up to him to cut his head off, and it's the real actor. And then it cuts to another shot where not only is it clearly fake, but they didn't even try to make the dummy or whatever it is look like the actor at all.
Now, what do you think of the characters in the movie? Because I gotta say, the characters in this film, they're pretty much just walking stereotypes.
Oh yeah, they're very stereotypical, they're very over the top, and some of them are also really, really stupid.
Yeah. Although the main character, Molly, she's likable enough, I would say.
Yeah, and so is Sean, her boyfriend. And I just love how whenever someone, whether it's a camper or another camp staff member, asks her, "Oh, what happened to, so-and-so?" She just says, "Oh, I had to send her home." Yeah. And they just believe that right off the bat. And yeah, the only person who actually checks into it is one of the other campers later on, who she, of course, then kills by strangling her. And I'm like, why didn't anyone else before this, call the parents of these campers to see if Angela was telling the truth and they really were sent home? Even the head of the camp didn't do that, and he's supposed to be the one in charge.
Yeah. You were also pointing out to me last night how ridiculously stupid that "I'm a Happy Camper" song is.
Oh my god, yes it is. It's so stupid and so corny, it's hilarious. Oh, I'm a happy camper, I love the summer sun.
I did like the moment when they were doing that little game where the campers were blindfolded and they would have to put their hands in something, and at one point Angela puts a girl's hands in something and she's like, "What's this?" And she just says, "Dead teenagers' brains." And somebody's like, "Seriously, what is it? Dead teenagers' brains?"
Yeah, she says it so casually and nonchalantly. No one around there suspects a thing. They don't even think to look in there and, maybe check what it is, or what. I mean, it's just ridiculous. I do also love that scene where the girls invade the boys' cabin, and that one girl, or, well, should I say grown woman?
Oh yeah, because unlike the first one that actually did cast real teenagers to play the characters, in this, all these campers who are supposed to be teenagers are played by people in their 20s or maybe even 30s in some cases.
These are not kids who should be in camp. These are adults who should have freaking jobs.
Well, being a camp counselor is a job.
Oh, not a good one. Trust me on that. I was saying before I just love the part where they invade the boys' cabin and one of the girls just says, "Or you're gonna get some of this!" And
oh yeah,
she lifts her shirt up and then she turns around and Angela's right in front of her. Like I said before, Pamela Springsteen as Angela, she's so bubbly and energetic, and whenever she kills people, she's doing it with such, innocent glee, like it's just something, it's some harmless kid's game or something. When she's in the car with that one girl after she flashed her breasts, and, she's saying, "Oh, just send me home," and she's like, "Oh, I don't want to have to do that, I'm giving you one more chance," and she's like, "Oh, I'd rather be dead than here," and she says, "Oh, okay," and she starts, looking in the back for something, and the girl says, "What are you looking for, a gun?" And she says, "No, a drill," and then she drills her to death, and it's like, she doesn't even make a big thing out of it, she just casually says, "Yeah, drill," and just kills her.
We should also point out, again, this goes to the fact that this was meant to be a satire on slasher films. There's a point in the movie where these kids try to scare Angela. One of them is dressed as Jason Voorhees, although it's a different kind of hockey mask, and the other is dressed as Freddy Krueger. And then Angela ends up dressing like Leatherface and kills one of the kids with a chainsaw.
And Pamela Springsteen, unfortunately, she doesn't like to talk about these movies. In fact, I've heard she hates them and is very embarrassed by them. Yeah, she's been asked, to do autograph conventions like Monster Mania and Chiller Theater, and she firmly says, "No, I'm not doing any of that crap." She refuses to talk about these movies. She refused to record the audio commentary on it. She just wants nothing to do with it at all.
It is what it is.
Yeah, she's actually, I think, a famous photographer now. She's photographed a lot of her brother Bruce Springsteen's albums, and I think photos in his autobiography, things like that.
Well, I know they're coming out with a biopic on Bruce Springsteen pretty soon, and dear God, I hope Pamela Springsteen is a character in that movie, and I hope they mention these movies in that film.
Yeah, maybe they'll sing the Happy Camper song in it.
I hope so. I want to see Bruce Springsteen cover the Happy Camper song.
So yeah, like I said, Sleepaway Camp 2, Unhappy Campers, it's not a great movie. It's not a great movie at all. But I don't hate it. I somewhat recommend the movie. It's a decent enough horror comedy, and it is entertaining.
It's so over the top and ridiculous, and yet it's so fun and entertaining.
So yeah, that was our review of Sleepaway Camp 2, Unhappy Campers. Our next movie review will be Sleepaway Camp 3, Teenage Wasteland.